through UE4 to show us the environment, maybe the character creator, whatever else you'd like to see within the game.
Hey
That would
Matt,
be
let's open up with the Apotheosis City.
Working on it. Yep.
Okay. Sue, could you take a minute and tell me about Paragon Dawn? I'm very interested where the group came from.
okay. So I was told that you are familiar with City of Heroes, correct?
Oh yes, I played City of Heroes. I started on Justice server. I went to Freedom server and then to Virtue server, and had two accounts. I played mine, and I also played my son's later on. I ended up with about 60 incarnate characters on the two accounts.
Okay, yep. So you're familiar. I'm originally my home was Victory, and then I went to Freedom, and then flopped back and forth with Virtue. Uh, Paragon Dawn is an offshoot from one of the SGs on Virtue, Hero Dawn. So we had almost famous costume contests every Sunday with trivia that got out of hand after a while. That's why we decided to have the radio station because we could broadcast and entertain people while the natives were restless waiting for the costume contest. So that's kind of where it all came from.
I know a friend of mine in the City of Heroes days told me that in some ways City of Heroes was a costume contest with a game attached.
Yes, that exactly was it.
Okay, so what you should be seeing, can you see the city, Sue?
Oh my goodness. Yes, I can.
Okay, so you're standing effectively on the steps of City Hall. You're looking directly south at Apotheosis City. So this is the first persistent level that we've created, the first level of the ship. This is where a new character would pop out at level 1.
Oh my
You can
goodness.
also see the giant statues there. We call that the Hill of the Beginning. It's symbolic in the game. In Ship of Heroes, our heroes do not have secret identities. Everybody knows who you are. They do have names like Meltdown and Ambassador and all. They take those names themselves to identify their role in defense of the ship or their special skills. It's a badge of honor, not a secret identity.
Okay. Oh.
So those statues symbolize that. You can see through the statues the arch up ahead.
Hmm.
And I like to start in this spot often because it gives you a good sense of the color palette of the game. What does it look like, right?
Right. Oh, it's beautiful. Vibrant.
Thank you. We think it's very beautiful too. It took us quite a while to assemble. Our lead environmental artist, Eric Gooch, uh, has worked on this, I think, has Eric worked on it now for 10 months, I think, to get us this first level. So we're pretty happy. Matt, do you want to swing us around a little bit and we'll talk about the level? But Sue, whenever you want to interrupt me and ask questions, that's great. So you can see a little bit of the architectural design here, like the building that's kind of in the center there. You see those landing spots jutting out from the building. You see a lot of buildings have landing spots. The game is designed with the idea that heroes would be able to fly.
Awesome. Is that the only travel power, or are you going to have several different?
We are hoping to start with flight, super speed, and teleport. We think that gives, that provides a lot of options for people. Now, one of the things we'd like to also be able to do, though, is, and we're going to talk about this a little bit later, but we want you to be able to make your character as individual as possible. So if you've written a story for your character and you're choosing powers and all, and it would be odd for your character to have flight as a power, then maybe we're going to enable you to have flight by transforming that possibly into wings or into a jetpack, right? So everybody could get flight, but you'd be able to adapt it to your character's personal story.
So people will have multiple travel powers, not like, remember City of Heroes, like in the beginning, where you
Yeah.
were only allowed to pick one. You can have several.
You could have several. It'll be up to you. Now, it's going to be similar to City of Heroes in the sense that if you choose to have two, you're giving something up, right?
Gotcha.
But you certainly could. And also one of our philosophical points is we want you to be able to respec your character. So if you get tired of flight and decide, you want super speed and you still want to only have one, if that's your choice, you can do it. Matt was bringing us in closer. Hey, Matt, swing us around to the right. So what you're seeing here is you are seeing our game story is this is a giant ship. This is one of the levels in the ship. There are 20 levels. And you're looking right now at the inside hull of the ship and at a window out into space. You might give Sue a quick look out the window. So you can see we've got a very nice three-dimensional look at space. The appearance out of all the windows will actually be different because they're in different spots, right? As the ship moves, it will change. The sky above is projected. So what if the sky wasn't projected? You'd be looking up at a lit metal roof like you were inside a, a giant can of tuna, 20 cans stacked one on top of the other. But the premise here is that this is a generation ship. People are born here, they live here, and they die here. This is a nation in space. And so when you live in a nation in space, you want to make it as much like an idyllic Earth situation as you can. Now, each level is going to have an upper level, and they'll all be very different. This one happens to be the first level, so it's kind of a beautiful city level. And underneath the level, there will be underground corridors, rooms, workshops, manufacturing, crew quarters, all sorts of stuff, right? Which will have more of a sci-fi theme, because we are combining both the hero theme and the sci-fi theme here. It is a ship in space, and you're moving from place to place in it, right?
Right.
So, Sue, I have a habit of monologuing. I don't want to do that to you. Go ahead and ask me questions if you want.
Oh no, I'm building. I have all of these amazing. Every time you say something, I have something to counter. First thing before I forget, because I will. Is this going to be like City of Heroes and have door missions, or are we going to be street fighting, mob fighting
Both.
out in the open? Both?
Yes, both. There will be enemies out on the streets, but most real missions will be, go in through a door, go in through a place, go to the underground areas, go to another level. So most missions in City of Heroes were either indoors or in caves, as I'm sure you remember, or
Right.
maybe you went to some Aurora or you went to some special place, right?
Right.
It will actually resemble that.
And you had your own instance when you were involved in these missions. Other
Correct.
players couldn't just jump in. That was
Correct.
I think that's one of the biggest things I miss is some of the superhero games don't give you that. I played DC Online for a while, and it was almost all street. There was no door missions, and I missed being able to work with my team and not some random stranger that waddled up. So
Yes, yes. I always think of street sweeping actually as something you do either by yourself or with one buddy or two buddies.
right.
Because if you had a team of 8, my goodness, wouldn't you want to do a mission that was just you guys?
That's what I missed the most, I think, is that.
Yes. Matt has brought us down here, by the way, to the area of the arch. Sue, have you by chance seen any of the videos?
I've seen a few. Now, the most recent one was one with powers, where you were
Correct.
demonstrating. And
The very first one explains the story of the arch and how this fits in the backstory of the game. The arch is actually in the geographical center of this level. So we started out in the north end, that's the Heroic Plaza area. Now we're in the geographical center. So the arch is a piece of the ship's equipment as well as an object of beauty that obviously people always ask, hey, is this sort of resonating with the St. Louis arch? Yes, it is.
that's what
And you'll see a bridge in the distance that resonates with the San Francisco Bridge, and you'll see something that resonates with the Seattle's tower right there.
I thought
and
of
our premise-
Defiance. Sorry.
Sorry, go ahead.
I was just saying I thought of Defiance when I saw the arch. I'm like, oh.
So the arch is a tool that helps us recover unobtainium dust, which is a byproduct of the engines that drive the ship. And dust is the currency as well. So when you're looking at this, at the arch, you're looking at a place that would be a natural place where alien raids could take place. Aliens coming here to try to raid us for dust or material, because this is not only part of the engine systems, it's also the equivalent of the mint aboard the ship. You're looking back at some of the downtown areas there. Different buildings will have different purposes, and there'll be story to them. And you can see, again, it's a very modernistic architecture. We actually laid out the level using urban design principles. And of course, we laid it out as well, knowing that there would be an underground section too, which we have not revealed yet. But we will, I think, during the Kickstarter, start showing some of that.
Okay, that
Matt's
was the
taking-
question.
Okay, Matt's going to take us down along the waterfront. And you can see high-end housing and apartment complexes here. And you can also see, of course, that because you're in a ship, the hull does go all the way around. Now, in City of Heroes, you had the war walls.
Right.
But here we have bounded the level perhaps a little more naturally, and I think with a little more plausible story in a way, in that you've got the inside of the ship.
Right. It makes sense to have that there, yes.
Correct. Correct.
Now, are you going to have NPCs and stuff like that interacting
Absolutely.
with these structures?
Absolutely. We had some NPC robots out where we landed at the downtown area. There are some more roaming around the arch. We have not filled the whole city with NPCs, actually just because we haven't gotten to it yet, but we certainly can. Also, we demonstrated in the character creator video that we're prepared to make hundreds, thousands of unique NPCs, just like we are thousands of unique heroes.
Right. Now, is there going to be a crafting element involving the water, say fishing? Are we going to be able to do that, or is there just going to be missions near the water?
Absolutely. There will be crafting, and there will be harvesting. So, Matt, if you swing us to the right just a little bit, you'll see a big sandy area over there. We've actually left that empty on purpose. But what that is going to be a hazard zone. For all we know, it'll be filled with little dinosaurs or monsters or whatever, heavily, at least the way I think, heavily plushly aligned with trees and shrubs and ferns and all. And people will cross the bridge to get over there and leap off into a relatively more dangerous zone for this level where you can harvest stuff. You'll be able to harvest parts of plants, parts of animals, all sorts of stuff, and bring that material back and either sell it or use it in crafting.
Monster Island.
It is. Also, because we have 20 levels, you could see if this level, for example, turns out to be the first level of the ship, Apotheosis City, turns out to have, say, levels 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, then the hazard zone would probably be level 8, right? So you wouldn't go there immediately with your level 1 character.
Right.
And then we want to have at least one whole level of the ship that is a special hazard zone. That will be higher level, and specifically, you'd have the ability to go there and have very challenging either team, I don't really want to say street sweeping, but monster hunting would be a better description, right? Monster hunting and treasure hunting.
Or like a Ricty raid?
Well, more like a big monster hunt in City of Heroes, where you're getting jack and irons or something. But you might be hunting, instead of jack, you might be hunting Velociraptor pack.
Well, that would be cool.
They would be hunting you.
Oh, that not so cool, but that's okay.
I should have asked you. Go ahead.
No, it's okay. I was going to say I don't know if I'd want to be dinner, but oh well.
We have the idea that the hazard zones are going to be tough play for the characters that go in. This is a little warehouse district, which will also connect to the subterranean corridors and rooms and manufacturing capability below. And if you saw the video that shows the dimensions of the ship, you can see why this would be this way, because it actually goes down, like the level of the ship goes down over 1,000 feet under this level, right? That's how thick the module that has this level in is it. So there's a lot of subterranean space as well. So really, by making the ship, we're making a really big game by itself. and then we're adding worlds that the ship will visit.
Right, and there's always room for expansion because you can always increase the ship's capacity and give us another level, say, should
Correct.
you want to extend your level cap. Now, that being said, do we have a level cap?
It kind of depends on how we do at the Kickstarter. We want to launch the game. Really, I'll be personally disappointed if we're not at least going to level 30.
Okay.
In terms of will there eventually be a level cap, will 50 be it? I've never been sold on that, actually. And I have to say that, when City of Heroes went to 50 and then they did Incarnate, I love the Incarnate content, but I didn't like it that we were going to say level 53 is it, so to speak.
Right.
I would
No
rather that they
limit.
kept expanding the game.
I like that. Now, another question I have that does probably seem silly. You've mentioned dinosaurs a lot. Is that going to be our primary foe?
No,
Dennis?
actually, I threw that out. We have not actually got a dinosaur in the game. That was just something I was thinking about at that moment. So, if you consider what we have already shown a combat scene with the Nagdelians, the Nags, and they are an alien species that likes to raid Apotheosis City and raid the Justice. So you could say, hey, in some sense, they're similar to the Ricti, right? They're an alien species with whom you can't really make a deal. It's conflict all the time. But we plan to have several alien species with different levels of, are they in conflict with us? Also, alien species that are not in conflict with us. In addition to that, part of the background story here, and by the way, you can see kind of very modern architecture there.
Indeed.
Part of the story here is, in our storyline, heroes are born with powers in general, although you could be a hero and not maybe have powers if you wanted to get there with cybernetics or something else, or maybe someone's got a better set of powers than yours. Maybe you've just got invulnerability and cybernetics, whatever, right? So you could write a wide variety of stories here. But the guys who might be enemies aboard the ship, if you're enhancing yourself with cybernetics, why not? It's the future. But there are limits. And some people would like to become heroes, maybe not really intending to be too heroic, but more villainous. And so there will be enemies aboard the ship who have tried to combine dark magic and cybernetics, which is, in our game, always a recipe for disaster. The two don't fit well. And so even if you intended to do it innocently, it's not going to leave you in a good spot morally. So there will be enemies who are very definitely cybernetic magic users. And then there may also be enemies who are just dark magic users. There will be aliens invading. The other thing is unobtainium. It drives the engines. It's giving people powers at a much greater rate than humans would otherwise see. And the unobtainium alloy, not the alloy, the isotope mix in the engines is designed to maximize human advancement, to make everybody as good as they can be, whether you've got powers or not. But of course, that particular mix that's good for us, that's not necessarily good for other life forms. So it can mutate other life forms into monster forms. So that's another source of enemies aboard the ship. And finally, the ship's been out in space for a couple hundred years. And it was one of the first ships to ever leave Earth. And because of that, early on, there were invasive life forms that got loose and couldn't actually be rooted out for various reasons. So there are invasive life forms aboard the ship that we'd rather weren't there, but they are.
Gotcha.
And then for another alien group, I will tell you that interstellar space is populated by hostile alien beings who might, happenstance being what it is, look like ghosts.
Ooh.
And they like to attack some parts of the ship more than others.
Oh.
So actually, I've already outlined for you, Sue, I think more than we've revealed maybe to anybody else about enemy structures and types. But
Oh my goodness.
humans, aliens, supernatural, and not to mention the occasional rogue robot affected by unobtainium as well.
Oh my god, I'm so excited. I, I am I can't even tell you how excited I am for this project. Now, are we going to be able to become villains as well, or are we just sticking to the hero side here?
Okay, so part of what we're doing at Heroic Games when we make Ship of Heroes is we are making a game that we can actually launch. We're not we're not going to promise more than we can deliver. So at the moment, we're promising heroes, um, and I think you'll remember, City of Heroes also opened only with heroes.
I do, and I was going to bring that point up. That it's okay you do that because that's how we started too. So,
Correct. So you can see what we've done here is we've got a controlled geography. It's not 700 square miles of open world. We've got, an above ground area and a below ground area. Then we'll have a second level above and below. Then we'll probably have a first world. Then we'll do a third, so it's going to be sequential. It's so that we can control the scope.
yes.
We're a small team and we want to do, what we're trying to do is do quality work and enough that we can keep everybody interested, get the revenues flowing, and use the revenues to build the rest of the game.
I completely agree, and I understand. I love what I've seen, and the story sounds extremely intriguing. I can barely wait to touch it myself, and I know that the first thing that's going to happen to me is I'm going to be eaten by a robot. I can, I can
But
pretty
but
much.
not by a dinosaur at least, because Casey's just using the term dinosaur generically. So
I think,
probably by
you know,
Magdallian.
well, dinosaurs would not be above the scope of the storyline
They would not.
because if you're going to have rogue creatures roaming around that are affected by um, different factors and mutated, then
Correct.
you bring a nice gecko on for your child's pet, and suddenly you can ride on it, and it'll eat your friends. So
Exactly. And then it gets loose on the third level, crossbreeds with something else, and away you go.
that's
Part of our premise here is that one level of the ship has been deliberately populated with some of the most dangerous life forms in the galaxy. Specifically, oh, there's a picture of what the ship looks like,
that's
which we
cool.
stuck in.
Closer, closer. That's awesome.
So you can see docking bays below, engine and back. The front is actually looks like an arrowhead. That is the command and control section of the ship. And under the right or maybe the wrong circumstances, the ship is capable of ramming another ship, which brings about, kind of a death fight. But we have that planned for sort of a couple years into the future.
So there's not going to be any interstellar leaving the ship, going in little space pods kind of action yet.
Well, I don't think we're going to try to make space pods or, fighter ships. But yes, you would definitely go down to the planet's surface,
So you
as the
could
ship
go.
is going planet to planet.
Oh, so do we have planets worked out yet?
Right now, no. But
Okay.
we do plan to launch with at least one planet. So
Okay.
we have big ambitions. Part of the story is, how much will we raise at the Kickstarter? But you can see how this game would actually start with what you see right here. This could be a lot of fun right here. Honestly, we could go 0 to 30 on this level. We're not going to, but we could.
Now,
But we'd like to make it a lot bigger.
I have another question, and I'm going to get the reference wrong because this is just something my other half mentioned. He used to play in a game, and I can't remember what it was because my brain is old, where he would breed creatures and have the ability to sell them as pets or possibly um, things that you could actually use in battle. Is that something we'd be able to do here?
Actually, we do not have that planned. Not opposed to it, but we don't have that planned right now. And so when I say that, Sue, what I really mean is we're open to ideas. We actually take direction from the community. We like to hear those ideas, but we are kind of maniacally focused on getting the game built and launched for the community so that there is something we can all play.
Absolutely.
Does that make sense?
Well, yeah, it's start somewhere. I mean, we didn't have everything we had in COH when we started.
Correct.
And it was something to look forward to. Now, I am
Exactly.
I am a huge Beastmaster. My thing was Masterminds. That was my second favorite class. I will tell you, I was a Brute fan. But are we going to have some sort of class like that in there in MM?
So what we're saying, as you can see, the AI for the civilians, it's actually kind of complicated, but this guy's having a good day. Let's just say. Um, so the answer to your question is what's called a mastermind in City of Heroes. We call that a commander,
Ooh.
and we have not promised to do it at launch. We're always very clear about what we're promising. We do want to get it. So controllers and commanders, right now they're sort of extension goals. If we raise a lot of money in the Kickstarter, we'll certainly add them, quite frankly.
Okay.
I loved having my Thugs Darkness mastermind, and I also had a robots mastermind. I'm trying to remember what the actual character had, but robots were his pets.
I had, I think, one of each, or maybe 2 or 4.
Yeah, in fact, I think I had my robots guy on Virtue, and my Thugs Darkness on Justice server. I'm pretty sure. I also had a wide variety. I had all the character classes. I was fascinated by City of Heroes and just played it enormously. But my first character was a scrapper, and I would say ultimately I decided that I thought the devs at City of Heroes had made scrappers, stalkers, and brutes, and it always struck me that I thought the scrappers got kind of a bad deal there. I'm not sure why they should have critical hit and brutes should have rage. I kind of thought it maybe should have gone the other way.
See, I spent a lot of time in the AE building with my broods, so that's probably where my love for them came from. But
me too. I actually had my favorite brute was named Three Fire Farmer, and he spent a good deal of time in the AE building
you're gonna
because
laugh.
he was almost unstoppable. I mean, really.
Well, you're gonna laugh now because this is funny. My lead was Five Finger Freddy. So you had I had Five Finger Freddy. So yeah, but I had the impossible build that no one thought would work. So I think he was Staffire.
Ah.
So everybody's like, oh, they have no damage. They didn't. They had speed.
Ah.
So they recharged faster than you could stand up. So that's what I did as I built for speed. And he was a lovely thing. So if we could get me another Five Finger Freddy,
Excellent.
be happy. I miss
Matt
him.
was showing us a building there for a moment, which we intend to be a future auction house.
Okay,
And
that's
you
cool.
can go in and out. We do want to have trading as well as crafting and harvesting. So that's the 3 sides of that piece: is the harvest part, the crafting side, and the auction house.
See,
Obviously not needed, but we have a placeholder in the game that we show to people, Sue, including you, which is our way of saying we're going to do it.
Yeah, I from what I've seen, you're gonna complete a lot, and it's gonna be amazing. These buildings are so detailed in the trees. You look like you could hear the leaves rustling, and they look like individual types of trees. It's not all just one stock tree, not all the same. I mean, it looks like an apple tree over here, and that one might be a birch. I think that's really amazing.
It is beautiful. We've had some very good work here by our environmental team. So I'm thinking that maybe we should show you the character creator, but I don't want to pull you out if you're not ready to go.
Oh no, let's go see the character creator. I'm still just brimming with questions and curiosity, but we can't do it all in one day, right?
Correct, but while Matt sets up the character creator demo, why don't you hit me with a question?
Okay, since we're going into character creator, let's go with this one. And I laughed like crazy when my SG brought it to my attention. Well, can we make, how do I term this delicately, curvy heroes? Heavy set.
Can we make them fat? Can we make them big?
I was trying to be polite.
I've had that question a number of times. So right now, let me answer it directly. It'd be easy for us to put the morphs in to do that. We haven't done it yet. But okay. I have to tell you, I've been a little surprised we get a lot of questions like that. People want to make big guys and people want to make big girls. honestly, I didn't expect it. So Matt really coded a lot of the character creator, and I didn't ask him to do that, but we certainly can. And as I said earlier, we do take direction from the community. So I could not do it for you today. Matt, go ahead and make us a character here. Sue, what would you? Let's see. You said you liked melee, didn't you?
I like melee and tanks, so brutes, that sort of thing.
Okay.
So let's do a nice melee something.
Okay. Go ahead. So I'm going to tell you right now, we have not put the powers in here, although we've got a fabulous custom tool for creating powers. So we can create them very quickly. Although, of course, it takes time to get the FX, the sounds,
Of course.
the animations. That's actually the tricky part. But specifying that you want a power that has a range of, 60 yards and is AoE or targeted AoE or location AoE, we've got that down to a very quick system. So we can do that stuff very, very quickly.
Well, see,
So-
we have bigger guys, not fat, but bigger.
Yes. So what we have right now is we have a lady, a gentleman, and a big gentleman. And we aspire to add some more models in here. But this is one of those things where, again, it's the controlled scope. I've had a lot of questions from people saying to me, I want to make a cat girl or a fox girl. Where's my fox girl tail? Where's my cat girl tail? Where are my cat ears? Why can't I make an elf? Why can't I make Galadriel or something? Well, you can't make Galadriel because that's going to get us sued. But why can't you make an elf girl? The answer is because we built a really powerful. Matt, go ahead and we'll make Sue a beautiful girl here who's a fighter. I think we chose melee. Go ahead. So standard character comes out, and you can make such an enormous number of variations to this character where they're really wildly different. Matt is slowly walking you through their 49 different base face shapes.
Oh my god. That
So enormously different. We have approximately 380 morphs. Each of these is a morph set. We have 380 morphs in this, and see, Matt's highly skilled with this. He's moving the face out. He is making it narrower, making it flatter. A lot of this is subtle stuff. So you could actually sort of just make quick choices and move on, which I thought many people would do. But we've given these interviews to a number of journalists and players. None of them plan to do that. They all said, okay, so the key question, Casey, is this. Are you going to issue this character creator to me, at least a month in advance so I can pore over these things for a month? I had an immediate picture of people's spouses saying, why did you give my husband or my wife that? Why did you do that? Now I haven't spoken to them for a month.
It's a phenomenon.
Matt, change the skin tone for Sue so you can see it's a slider that's continuous, but you can actually get a lot of different skin tones here. Everything from a pale Irish girl to a very dark Ethiopian princess, anything you want.
Now, will you allow for alien skin tones in the future, say green or blue?
Yes. So if you saw the combat teaser, that character is Meltdown. He has a gray skin tone, and we are going to add some other skin tones in. Again, though, our theory is we're showing a really powerful creation tool. By the way, you can see that when she moves, her hair wiggles a little bit, right? That's Apex physics built in already. So,
now, is there going to be body physics as well?
For clothing, yes. So, for example, capes will ripple in the wind.
I think she was referring more to like
Yeah,
breast
he
and
knows.
butt physics. Yeah, they have it for
Oh.
like scarf stuff.
Jiggle factor.
Yep.
Right now, not in.
It's possible to do. It's actually pretty easy. You just create a swing bone. That's all it is.
I've played video games with men for far too long, and knew that would be the one thing they would want to know. So
Exactly.
most of my male friends do not play men characters. They play women because they like to see them from behind. So,
Correct. That's very common. We hear that too. So, and in fact, most of the audience
oh, I love the
for
eyes.
articles, the eyes are actually beautiful. I wish we had a camera to zoom in here. We have 2 or 3 dozen individual eyes modeled on human eyes. If you see them up close, you'd see the cornea, you'd see the very fine gradations, very much like a real human eye, because they're actually
Amazing.
art objects based on real human eyes.
That is
So
amazing.
Matt and I were talking about that earlier today, getting a close-in camera for that.
That
Yeah,
is
I was
absolutely stunning.
planning on adding another camera option so you can zoom in real close to those eyes and get a better look at them.
Because they really are beautiful.
Now, I have another question. I don't know if any of you are familiar with The Sims, but they have sliders that you can select, say, a feature like the nose, and then you have a slider individual then from the panel you've got here that'll actually fine tune that, make your nostrils a little bigger, make the slope of the nose a little narrower, stuff like that. Is that something that would be in the works, maybe down the
So
road?
actually, you can do a lot of changes to the nose right now with what we have here. And I have to say, let's see, we're on, let's go to nose. So here you go. These are your nose sliders. So you can see where Matt's adjusting the bridge of the nose, the bump, taking it up and down, the nose depth and
That's pretty
the
amazing.
nose height, the nose size, the nose tip, nose width and nostril width, how aquiline it is. These are all nose sliders.
Oh my gosh.
I have to say, I'm not a Sims guy, so I can't make a comparison, but I would think this would show a lot of personalization here.
Yes.
We've had a few guys tell us, I could remake my girlfriend from high school in this.
Oh,
Which
that's so
I
creepy.
think, for most of us, that's showing a real lack of imagination. You ought to be making the leader of the cheerleading squad from high school, but
It's still creepy, even if I don't know. Still creepy. I don't know. Then again,
I
high
hope I'm
school.
not going to see. I hope I'm not going to see 12 Sandra Bullocks running through the level or something, but with unintended consequences.
It's gonna happen. You're gonna see a lot of stuff like that, but then and it's funny because those characters are gonna be your diehards.
Yes.
They'll be the ones that stay until the very bitter end. So I guess we can't
Right.
really knock Sandra.
On the other hand, for you, Sue, I will say that if that happens, you'll probably see a dozen Brad Pitts too. So,
Oh God, I hope not. Okay. uh, I'd
so you
rather
can
see
see
Sandra.
Matt is working on the jaw here.
I
You
see.
can actually make a lot of changes. So you could really customize enormously here.
I have to say the eyes are my very favorite part. They are so striking and vibrant. They look like a real person's eyes.
Yeah, they actually are.
Oh, that is spooky. Now, are your NPCs, and I thought Ghost when I saw that, are they going to have features like these eyes? Because I can just see something.
Yes.
Oh, man, that'll be.
NPCs all get created in the same character creator that you're looking at right now. Our signature heroes are made in this tool. Our players' characters will be made in this tool. The NPC civilians will be made in this tool. We have a few things that are going to be dev only because we will probably be making, monsters and this sort of stuff.
That's
But
what I wondered. The eyes, I wonder if they'd be specific. That's why I asked to the monsters. But if the ghosts get these same eyes, go with ice blue, and I will scream every time.
interesting thought because we're working actually on some new eyes right now. Some that glow red and some that glow blue, so they're emissive and give off, relatively speaking, auras of menace.
Very light blue that kind of shimmer on the edges. That coming at you with nothing behind them from the dark is going to be creepy as all get out.
Yes, it is.
Do you want to mention about the eye study that you mentioned before, Casey? In order to, one of our artists studied 200 eyes, something to that effect. I don't want to butcher your story.
Jeez.
Hmm. Well,
200?
yes, one of our artists is actually a specialist in eyes, and he kind of that's his one thing. So we've employed him, and he has done extensive study. Wow, the hair really hits you, doesn't it?
Yeah, I love the
It's
hair.
interesting. Matt and I have looked at this on some other models, but yes. So one of the interesting things here, as you can see, we are using the UE4 hair shader. The whole game's built in Unreal Engine 4, and that's sort of a technical detail. Most people don't care, but it is built in 4.13.2. We've had two engine upgrades, and we're probably going to do another one, but I'm thinking maybe we'll wait till after the Kickstarter to go up to 4.14. Each time we do an upgrade, Matt is now demonstrating the clothing too. Each time we do an upgrade, we get some additional capabilities because really Unreal is an incredible platform for making a game.
Yeah.
And Sue, if you want to direct Matt and say, hey, I like that, I don't like that, as we go through, let him show you a few things.
I was just gonna complain about the chest, and that's probably just the woman in me. But she's very saggy. It's- you know, Grandma always said if you could put a pencil under there, you needed support bra. And this poor chick, she's hanging under her arms. She needs some love.
Yeah, we actually even have some additional morphs just for her, and one of them is the breast height. We just got to add it. We have the morph. We just have to put it in.
She just needs a little cleavage. Push those suckers together, get some duct tape, and she'll be good.
You heard her, Matt.
It just are so far apart. Oh, I like that jacket. That was cool.
That is funny. That's what my own daughter tells me. Oh, I like that jacket.
Well, I'm a girl. I'm supposed to say stuff like that. You haven't got to the shoes yet. Wait. And she needs a handbag. Just saying, guys. She needs a
I
purse
think
to
she's going
whack
to get a
people.
laser pistol instead, but
Oh, all right. We can go with a laser pistol. That's cool too.
hey, Matt, put some boots on her for a moment. We want to show you some. So you see when the boots come on, they cover the pants.
Ooh,
There's no clipping.
I
And
like that.
when the boots come off, the pants reappear. The shoes, though, go under the pants, but the boots go over the pants. So
Love it.
this is actually, you know, you might be thinking, well, of course, that's how it would go. Surprisingly, it's more difficult to do technically than you might imagine. But we've really kind of conquered it here.
You have. Even in a game as advanced as Sims, you will get pants that hang out the boots. They'll just,
Yeah.
yeah, and I'm loving the fact that it's not the way here. That is
Also,
amazing.
Matt is demonstrating this by clicking on the color wheel here, but you can type in red, green, blue, particular numbers, and get the number you want, the exact number. And also, if you wanted to make multiple characters, hypothetically, like I might have made a lot of characters in City of Heroes with my favorite colors of red and gold, right? I
Right.
could have particular numbers and put them on all my characters, right? And have them all have something in common, or not, depending upon what you want.
Be awesome for an SG uniform, because then
It would.
you could just write down the numbers that correspond, and then there'd be, are you sure it's this one? It looks right. You'd just be like, no, 15, 12, 24, and then they would be able to get it dead on every time. I love that idea.
Exactly. So it allows you to, you can make so many different combos here. It's trillions of trillions. So getting an individualized character is not a problem. The actual issue is the other one. It's what if you want to work with your supergroup and everybody's going to, have the same coat or similar color combos. I personally in a supergroup would rather that everybody had color combos and not the exact same uniform. But that's just me, some will want it the other way.
Absolutely. And you'll have that. You'll have, you know, planned SG uniforms. Now, how many costume start slots to start? One, two?
Well, there are a maximum of 11, but we don't require that you fill all the slots. We think people should have freedom. If you decide, this girl fights in her bare feet because that's the story I wrote for her, fight in your bare feet, that's cool.
And will there be missions to unlock a character slot or a costume slot so that you can say have an SG uniform and your normal stuff?
Well, the question we usually get is, will there be special missions to unlock capes? And we actually were not going to have them, but so many people have said, hey, we'd rather, work our way up to capes, that we're thinking about it now. Our current view is we want the character creator to be fun. We think it's an anchor for the game.
Yes.
So we kind of don't like the idea that we're going to make this super powerful character creator and then tell you, but when you're level 1 and a new player, you can only use half of it. So we'll probably let everybody do almost everything at the start.
Okay. That actually sounds good, and then you can have costume contests. Now,
Yes, you can.
I have so many questions, and I keep forgetting all of them. Now, speaking of stuff like costume contests, how do I phrase this? We would have, remember in City Heroes, we'd be doing stuff, and the devs would come on, and they would just add to the experience.
Yes.
Are we going to have, positions for, say, community managers to come on board and do that? And are we going to have devs come on and interact with the players? Is that something that is important to you, is going to happen?
Well, let me address that in several ways. First off, we think every dev should play the game.
Right.
My goodness, if you're making the game, you should be playing the game, just like everybody else. And no God mode. You should have the exact conditions that regular players have, right?
Right.
So that would be item 1. We would think that, I'll just speak as a dev. I plan to come on, and I plan to do some stuff as consultant, which was my name in City of Heroes, and will be my name here. And I think pretty much people will say, that's consultant. He's running this business, right? But I'll probably have a second ID where I come on where I'm truly anonymous and just play the game like everybody else because I want to get the feedback, from teams. I personally have always liked pickup teams. I like to form up a group that has, 5 newbies in it and 2 experienced guys and go do an ITF or the equivalent here, right? I think that's kind of fun.
It's the best part of the game.
So, yes, devs will be playing officially and playing unofficially. That's part of the culture here. And then in terms of moderating, which is a little different, we like the idea that players could become moderators and be on track to make sure that somebody isn't off their meds and typing bad stuff into the chat or, maybe doesn't know the rules, because we don't plan to have a toxic chat here.
No.
People who are behaving badly are going to be silenced. If it keeps up, we'll do with one less. It's a very harsh thing for me to say, but we think the culture of the game needs to be friendly, needs to be family friendly. People come to play. They don't come to hear about your latest romantic outlet with your goat. They really don't.
Oh. That's just... Are we going to have goats? Oh, no, I'm kidding. You knew I had to go there. And I like masterminds, so, a goat mastermind, now you've said it, is going to have to happen, as well as a raptor one.
So I think actually you could envision, since it's a spaceship, it's 500 years in the future, there could be a lot of interesting mastermind pets. Certainly, of course, you can get robots. I think that's obvious. We think you should be able to get alien mercenaries.
That's what I was thinking. Aliens, possibly the ghosts you mentioned, definitely some sort of mutated species.
Correct.
What I think would be super is, with what I was saying earlier, breeding your own and then having a genetic anomaly that nobody else is going to have with its own set of powers. Now that's super advanced in my mind. So, but that would be cool for a mastermind to have, because you're on a ship. It makes sense. to
That's
have.
interesting. Daughter has been pitching for the idea that masterminds should go out and capture one or more wild cyber cats as kittens, raise them up, and get them to be her pack, right?
Yep, that
And the
makes
cyber
sense.
cats would be wild creatures that come to you as a result of completing a set of missions, mastermind missions, so that
I
you'd earn a pack.
I agree with that. I also would like to see it go one step further to breed your own genetic mutation that would be unique to you. I'm not saying give you a stacked advantage against anybody else. Just make it. I think that would intrigue a lot of people.
I think it might too. Yeah, I know there are guys who are playing games where they breed sheep and they breed animals in order to get unusual colors so they can
Yes.
harvest the wool. Um, and
Yes.
that's actually a popular activity, sort of
It
a alternative to harvesting and crafting.
it is in capturing the animals. I mean, think of Ark and Pokemon. Both of those games kind of focus on gotta catch 'em all, have unique, powerful things. I think as a mastermind, wouldn't that fit in and be super appropriate? You
Yes, it
know,
will.
I think that would be great, and have a whole mastermind level of, or maybe even Monster Island over there, that where you go not only to harvest things, but to harvest animals to grow into your companion. Now,
Correct.
I think it would be bad if everybody, could make a Tyrannosaurus Rex, because that would be,
Yeah, it's not Ark Survival Evolved here, so,
no.
but yes, it would be interesting.
I think that would be
Also,
a fun
some
time.
some of the things that you could go after, if you want to fight really big dinosaurs, that's sort of speaks to me that it's an open world. You visit the dinosaur world, and you're going to see that stuff there.
And bring it home to make your pet.
Possibly, yes,
Maybe just an aesthetics pet, but those were popular too.
yes,
So that's another thing to think about, is when you go down to harvest stuff, have people bring home these random eggs that they have no idea what is, and have some just unique creature pop out that just follows you around and screams sunflower. Yes, I know. Reference. I had to do the reference.
Particularly with Alien Worlds, I know that something that Casey's talked about before is the idea that Alien Worlds would present rare and unique harvesting opportunities. So the same could probably be applied to animals as well.
I think that'd
that's
be
correct. And also, if you think about it, one of the things that is a problem for all MMOs is the content gets old, right?
Mhm.
You've done it all. Well,
Yep.
if you're rotating from world to world, and I'm not committing to a particular schedule, but suppose you're going to a new world every month, and you're going to be there for 10 days, and then you're going to have 10 days in space, and then 10 days at the next world, or something like that. Um, each world could give you special missions, special stuff that you can acquire very inexpensively on that world if you're a harvesting, crafting kind of guy. Or you could just go to the world, get badges, kill stuff, capture stuff, get rich, complete missions, whatever floats your boat. But the world's 10 days. When the 10 days are over, you're back in space, subject to ghost raids and Nagdelian attacks and other stuff. That goes on for 10 days. Then you're in a different world where different stuff is available. So from this point of view, the game could change. It could, it could really give a player a reason to come back and play every day.
that. You have no idea. I'm already planning. Already, and I'm gonna tease and tease and tease to get some sort of cute aesthetics pat. You know that.
Excellent.
I'll be poking you from now on and be like, hey. Now,
No problem. As I
did you
said,
ever-
we take action, so.
did you ever give the explanation for cat ears and tails? Will those be included for those cat girls out there?
Not immediately, but given how many people asked us about it, I use that as an example of something that surprised us. We didn't expect that, but we do want to get to it. Let me put it that way. So I never like to promise, I'm going to do these 10 extra things because, Sue, you and I talked about it, so I'm adding 10 things to the launch. That would be a mistake for me. We have to keep our scope under control. But we have become aware that people want cat ears and fox ears, cattails.
It's very,
It-
very big.
So you can see in this costume creator, you could build a lot of characters. You could do a lot of customization here. This is already built into the game, so it already works. I don't know if you're familiar with the term packaging a game, but packaging is when you step out of the editor, you take the code, and you build the game as if you're going to give it to someone and say, great, it's for sale, here, $40, now the game is yours, right? You've got a finished game, so to speak, with all the content and stuff. We do that every week. We package the game to see what errors, problems, anything else comes up, because the package game does behave a little differently than the game in editor when you're coding it.
Yes.
So Matt and I were going through a version of the package game, this afternoon, weren't we, Matt? This morning, yes. And that feature, the fact that we package frequently, we test it, gives us a real sense that we'll be able to build this game. I mean, we actually have a prototype now. You saw combat occurring.
Yes.
So people ask us, well, are you done? No, we're not done because, we don't have crafting. We don't have trading. There's no auction house built yet. We don't have very many missions. We need to add to this character creator. There's a lot to do. But on the other hand, you can see we have a prototype game right now.
We do. It's lovely, and it's exciting even to see, this much. I love that hair. Anyway, I am impatient now. That's my thing is now that I've had the little taste. I mean, when are we gonna do an alpha or a beta or some sort of player come and touch it sort of thing?
I'll answer that question. I just want to make the point here. You see the character description in the final panel of the character creator. That means if you sat down and you wrote, 2 pages of stuff about your character and why she is this way, you can cut and paste that in. And
That's
it would be
awesome.
available for other players to see and read. And if you wanted to type in 3 sentences and say, I'm good to go, you can do that too. So in answer to your question about alphas and betas, what we've committed to is we're certainly going to have an alpha. We'll probably have, in reality, a set of alphas, a first, second, third, fourth. We're going to select the participants in the alpha and in the beta phases of development from those who contribute during the Kickstarter. So the best way to get in is to contribute. I think we'll be doing a beta in 2018, probably toward the end. That's our expectation right now,
Okay.
which means we could launch this game in 2019.
Oh my gosh.
We want to get the game out and launched because that's the mechanism by which we'll be able to build the rest of it. We need to make it commercially succeed. And you can see, our goal is we'd rather it was small and high quality because we've got so many ways to build the game out. More levels in the ship, more worlds to visit, more enemies, more missions. We have an enormous amount of expansion capability for this. There's really no reason for it to ever stop expanding.
No, this is something that could live on forever. You've written the storyline and the backstory so well that you could
Thank you.
morph it into anything. I am truly looking forward to this. Something I would like, and I probably just won't get, but I know there's pre-created players that you have, NPCs, missions, that sort of thing. I would like to see somebody's bio. I think just a little snippet from one of your main characters, or even the thought process behind creating said character. Like, for me, it would be this guy's like Freddy. He's going to follow the same path Freddy followed. That's why I want to create him. I'd like to see here's some of that. I mean, what did you guys think about when you were making these things? What was the thought process?
Well, I can tell you that I can describe one in relatively easy detail. We created the character Dr. Strikewell, who's essentially a healer with ranged electric damage powers. So primary and secondary, exactly like you'd be familiar with. And one of the things we did with her is my daughter, who's an adult engineer and played City of Heroes with me, said, hey, I want to sort of fuse a couple of my characters together and put that in as ideas for this character. And we did. My daughter in particular loved to play either blasters who could heal or imps who could blast. And so we're kind of bringing that back. I thought that was perfectly fair, actually. It's a good archetype. Also, quite frankly, we're trying to say to the community that we think we understand that people want to build interesting, powerful, meaningful support characters. It can't just all be tankers and brutes beating them up and blasters throwing some damage on. The support characters are actually really important. And they're a lot of fun if the game enables that from its initial design.
Dorito Defender, really?
Indeed.
I like Doritos. That's my favorite chip.
You thought I wasn't going to notice that. I'm just staring at her boobs, trying to figure out how to fix them. Anyways. I'm sorry, I had to say that. I apologize. But it was funny. And your daughter is part of this too. She's coding and helping create.
Absolutely. She's a project engineer on the project. So there is definitely a family element here. My son is a game designer and daughter's in as a project engineer.
So I'm sure you've been asked this before, but how did this all start? Was it on that fateful day when the servers went down, you said, oh my gosh, this is not going to stop here?
You know, that was a terrible day. I really loved City of Heroes, and I thought naively that someone would have a game out in a year or 18 months. Now, my son, who was at that time a coder and tester for Microsoft, told me, Dad, you're mistaken. MMOs take 4 or 5 years to build. You won't see anything for a long time. Better find yourself another game. And I did indeed play a lot of different games, but I didn't find something that I liked as much as City of Heroes, not even close. And I sort of began thinking, well, gee, what would I make? Just, going to work every day and thinking, what would I make if I were making the replacement for City of Heroes? And one day my son told me, Dad, I was telling him what I would make, which is basically Ship of Heroes. He said, Dad, you understand no one's ever going to make that game unless you do it. And I said, I don't know. It seems like fairly obvious extension. Take heroes into space, the big ship. It's pretty obvious, I think. Gives you control of the scope, allows you to go places. My son just laughed and again said, Dad, no one's going to make it unless you make it. So then I started chewing on that for a while. And ultimately I decided, I would like to make a game. I'd like to make Ship of Heroes. And that's really the genesis of it. From there, I recruited my son, I recruited Matt, I recruited Eric, we've recruited more guys, and it just took off.
That is too funny. And it shows that, force of will in this game has created something stronger than anyone ever could have imagined. You just didn't let it die. And that is, I think, really cool. And
Correct. I actually want this game to exist. I feel this game needs to exist. I like this story. I like this setting. I like the ship.
I do as well. And I like all the possibilities you've opened up for my imagination. Because now I'm
Great.
seeing these planets, some of them barren, some of them not, some of them covered in life forms that are frightening, some of them full of little puffy, fluffy puppies that'll come up and do nothing but follow you around and make annoying noises to piss off your teammates. So, yeah, that's a thing you have to do. Anyway, how about supergroups? Are we going to bring those in?
Absolutely. Not sure we're going to call them supergroups, but yes, clans, guilds, groups of friends, absolutely, we want to enable that. One of the features of the game that we want to sort of recreate and expand and improve are raid activities. I personally remember getting my first City of Heroes character who was approximately like level 7 or level 8. It was a scrapper named Consultant, very first time, and there was a Richty invasion in City of Heroes. And I remember we sort of ran to the center of the town, and 50 or 60 players were fighting. It seemed like incredible numbers of Richty, and suddenly my character, which had some flaws because it was my first character and I didn't really know what I was doing, suddenly my character was a Titan because I had been buffed by like 20 people.
Awesome.
And I remember that was actually the first time that I felt superpowered. A lot of people talk about that. What's the first time you felt superpowered in City of Heroes? For me, it was that invasion. That was really significant. I really liked it. And of course, I leveled up like 3 levels or something, right? So I thought, wow, that was fun. How do I do more like that? And I still think Mothership raids, Hammy raids, Richty invasions, it's just inherently fun.
But very laggy. If you don't have some sort of computer to handle it, you're going to fall down and not get back up, but then suddenly be, 6 miles away.
That's true, but times have changed. You got to remember, City of Heroes came out in 2004, which means they coded it in 2002. The engine it was built on isn't even offered anymore. I think we can do better today. I also think we can do a lot better than that 4, 5, 6 year time frame to make a game. Certainly better than 8 or 10 that people talk about as being acceptable. That doesn't seem acceptable to me. The tool sets today from Unreal are really amazing.
So
I'll bring the screen back in just a second. I want to scope something out.
no, go right
Okay.
ahead. I'm enjoying Rito. She's going to be called Dory now. That's probably going to be a character that you're going to have as an NPC.
Okay. We'll take care of that for you soon.
Oh, well, hey, you probably will end up with a 5-finger Freddy somewhere.
We probably will.
Yep. Just keep in mind that he was a mobster, Rat Pack type guy. So he'd be a very good story contact.
We've got blue jeans and leather jackets.
Well, I was thinking fedoras and pinstripe suits and little, Tommy guns? Aha, I almost forgot that word. I'm very big into the gangster thing because I just shot a gangster wedding. Lovely wedding. So I show you guys pictures and you can create off some of them. It would be lovely to have one of my people be in the game. I think that would be stunning.
I think you're going to create a character and be in the game.
Probably. Well, honestly, I had 50 masterminds when servers went down across every single
Wow.
server and 3 accounts. So I'm probably going to have more than one character. And a lot of them were 50. Masterminds were my favorite because people told me I couldn't. So now I understand where you're coming from with this. People told you that this game was going to take a long time, that you couldn't do it in this time frame that you wanted. I understand. You don't tell somebody
Exactly.
like us you can't.
Exactly.
So I
Because
really
we can.
was,
We can.
and you will harder when people tell you you can't, and you try harder. And I think that shows something here, and it makes me want to work with this project a lot more because I know there's kinship here, that we are gonna do great things. I'm so excited. I can't even think right.
Well, Sue, thank you very much. I appreciate those kind words. Matt, did you have a technical issue there?
Yeah, I think the where we have our PHP scripts, I think they were restarting the server, and I think I lost that character just now.
Oh,
That's okay.
okay.
Yes, I'm sorry. I had it, and then I took screenshots of her. I can maybe recreate her again.
That's okay. We can make her better. This time she'll have orange hair because she's Dorito.
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
So she'll have orange hair and more triangular face. We're gonna really Is there going to be
You can
like,
upgrade. Yes.
yes, is there going to be like little food stand things on the corners, like vendors you can have her as a story contact in front of a hot dog cart?
That is funny because we've been talking about getting a kind of a lunch wagon in front of the city hall there. Would they still have those in the 25th century? Because I think they would.
Well, they'll have a food truck, maybe not like a hot dog vendor, but now food trucks are a big thing. So how can we convert that to a 20th century 20? Yeah, how can we convert that to that time period?
Exactly.
That
Seems
would
like
be,
you should be able to replicate everything on the food truck.
yeah. Will people even need to eat normal food?
My theory is that if you have superpowers, you need to eat extra food, and it cannot make you fat. It's one of the byproducts of unobtainium. As you can see, I am building a future that I'd like to live in.
Well, see, I would like not to be fat as well, but people, people want fat heroes, so
That's
maybe
true.
you don't need to eat, but you can. But the byproduct of eating will make you chubby.
Interesting.
So you don't need the cheesecake to survive, but you want the cheesecake.
That's
So
true.
that would be a very good storyline. Very
Yep.
interesting. Now I'm gonna write you a storyline. You know that I will.
That's good. We love that.
Oh,
Sue, did
Dad.
I answer your questions tonight? Did we pass over a bunch?
Um, if you did, I will definitely poke at you, but I think you far exceeded any expectations I had. I was so delighted to have the tour. I was thrilled to see Dorito Dory get born. So I
Excellent.
I am super looking forward to this, guys. I can barely wait, and I hope that you let me stop in and visit every time you have a breakthrough or something new, so that we
Glad
can
to.
check that out. Because I think that would be super cool, and I would love to be able to come into maybe an alpha or beta situation if available,
Okay.
and do a little filming, and with your permission, of course, and so we can show off.
Perfect.
I think that'd be lovely. Well, guys, I know you've got things crashing.
So we do have to jump. There is stuff to do still. Kickstarter waits for no man. So,
Right,
but
Well,
go ahead.
go ahead, Sue. I was just gonna say, Sue, I'll keep you abreast of anything else that any other announcements that we have, and feel free to shoot any other questions or any follow up you have over to me. We can, of course, grab images and video for you as well if you'd like something specific or a high res from what you've seen tonight.
Absolutely. Well, definitely want a little Dorito action, but also one more time, just for our viewers, the date of the Kickstart is when?
April 4th.
April 4th, and I will try to link all the contact information I can with this video so everybody can see and be aware of things. And is there anything else you guys want to plug or tell us about before we go?
I think we'll have some new videos out for the Kickstarter. We may also have one in between now and the Kickstarter, which is only maybe 3.5 weeks away. So stay tuned on our YouTube channel and our website.
Oh my gosh, guys, I'm so excited. Thank you so much for taking the time to visit with me. Thank you so much, Justin, for setting this up.
Thank you, Sue.
My pleasure. Thanks for your time. Talk to you soon.
Thank you, guys. You have a great night.
You too.
Okay.